Tonight, Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife found dead in their home. Authorities on the scene. Tonight, the mystery here. Authorities now investigating the suspicious deaths of Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa and one of their dogs. Police say their bodies were discovered in different parts of their home in Santa Fe and that they'd been there for some time. Hackman, a two-time Oscar winner, widely considered one of the best actors of his generation.
Now all you gotta do is pull the trigger, mister.
His career spanning decades, and tonight here we look back, including The French Connection, Hoosiers, and Unforgiven. And of course, the news coming in now in this investigation. Also tonight, the measles outbreak turning deadly in the U.S., the first child to die in a decade. And tonight, reports of cases growing, not just Texas, tonight from New Mexico to New Jersey. Measles was eliminated in the U.S. in 2000, so what's driving this? Some pointing to vaccine skepticism in this country, and tonight the warning from health officials. Tonight, President Trump meeting with the British Prime Minister at the White House, the Prime Minister delivering a letter from King Charles. You'll see the moment here, the Prime Minister saying this has never happened before, a second invitation. It was a warm moment before then trying to persuade Trump to stand by Ukraine. President Zelensky set to visit the White House tomorrow. Tonight, the controversial return. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis saying Florida is not a place where you're welcome, as two brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate, charged with human trafficking overseas, arrive in Florida. Both are Trump supporters. They were asked today if the president helped get their travel ban lifted, and what President Trump said today about their return. Tonight, after that healthcare CEO was murdered in Manhattan, news tonight, another insurance CEO targeted, a suspect firing multiple times into his home. Tonight, the school bus up in flames. The bus driver is being called a hero, and what that driver did. Outside New York City tonight, dozens of birds found dead. They're now being tested for bird flu. And tonight here, Gene Hackman in his own words, what he told Diane Sawyer about the closest thing to heaven he experienced.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It is great to have you with us here on a Thursday night. We begin tonight with a search for answers after Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead in their New Mexico home, along with one of their dogs. Tonight, authorities are calling the deaths suspicious, and there are troubling new details emerging tonight. Gene Hackman, who was 95, starring in dozens of iconic films, considered one of the best actors of his generation, honored for his incredible range, playing heroes and villains and so many ordinary guys. But there was nothing ordinary about his acting. He was one of the greats, winning 2 Oscars for his work. He was found dead in one part of his home. His wife, Betsy Arakawa, and one of their dogs found dead in another part of that home. What they found near the bodies, perhaps they will offer clues. And tonight you'll hear the frantic 911 call from the caretaker who discovered the scene, seeing the bodies through the window of the home. ABC's Mola Lenghi on the scene in that Santa Fe community, leading us off tonight.
Gene Hackman spent a lifetime playing unforgettable characters.
All right, Popeye's here. Get your hands on your heads. Get off the bar and get on the wall.
From his iconic role as rogue detective Popeye Doyle in 1971's The French Connection, to his turn as the sadistic sheriff Bill Daggett in Unforgiven.
Now all you gotta do is pull the trigger, mister.
The legendary actor, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and one of their dogs were found dead at their home in Santa Fe Wednesday. Tonight, authorities are calling the deaths suspicious. According to the search warrant affidavit, deputies arrived at their home in this gated community in Santa Fe Wednesday afternoon after a caretaker spotted 2 bodies inside the home through a window and called 911.
But I see them, she's laying down on a floor from the window.
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No, it's not.
Do you hear them talk or cry?
No.
Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody out here really quick.
Deputies finding the door ajar and 95-year-old Hackman on the ground near the kitchen area, one observing a pair of sunglasses located near the left of his body, leading him to believe the male individual had suddenly fallen. The bodies showed signs of decomposition, indicating they had been dead for some time.
There was no indication of a struggle. There was no indication of anything that was missing from the home or disturbed.
65-year-old Arakawa found on the bathroom floor with a, quote, space heater near the female's head. A deputy observed an orange prescription bottle nearby that appeared opened with pills scattered on the countertop. One of the couple's dogs, a German Shepherd, found dead about 10 to 15 feet from Arakawa in a closet of the bathroom. 2 other dogs found alive on the property.
I think there was a dog door where they had access to come in and out of the house. So the other dog didn't. He was in a kennel or a crate. It's concerning that everyone in the house, including the dog, is deceased.
Well, David, police say there were no signs of a natural gas leak, no carbon monoxide detected, but they add that it's possible the gas could have dissipated in the time between their deaths and when authorities arrived on scene. David, tonight investigators are trying to figure out exactly how long the couple's bodies were inside the home before they were finally discovered, David.
Really so many questions. Mola Lenghi leading us off tonight. Thank you. And as this investigation plays out, tonight we look back at Gene Hackman's remarkable career as the tributes now pour in from Clint Eastwood to Tom Hanks. For Gene Hackman, the actor who said later in life that he lived a life he dreamed of.
Because you clearly haven't got the message. This is my town.
Gene Hackman was a gifted, prolific, Oscar-winning actor.
I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. In my book, we're going to be winners.
For decades, bringing some of Hollywood's most memorable characters to life. Often called Hollywood's perfect everyman, but he was much more than that. He brought depth, charm, and an intensity to his roles.
Good afternoon.
His breakout role opposite Warren Beatty in Bonnie and Clyde in 1967.
We're going to have ourselves a time, boy.
We surely are.
I know the deal hasn't gone down. I know it hasn't. I can feel it. I'm dead certain.
Winning his first Oscar for Best Actor in The French Connection in 1971.
All right, nobody move. Put your hands in the air.
He was asked over the years about that scene, the pioneering car chase, considered one of the best ever.
We lost 3 cars. We had a siren on our car, which you didn't hear, of course, in the actual film, to kind of clear out the traffic, and then we would just go.
Gene Hackman teaming up with so many Hollywood stars, opposite Christopher Reeve in Superman.
That's kryptonite, Superman. Little souvenir for the old hometown. I spared no expense to make you feel right at home.
With Tom Cruise in The Firm.
So we're not a couple of idealists.
Heaven forbid. Give him a missile key.
With Denzel Washington in Crimson Tide. With Sharon Stone and Leonardo DiCaprio in The Quick and the Dead.
Don't ever cross me. And don't try to stare me down like you're doing now.
And with Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven, he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
You're right not to take it, Bob. I would have killed you.
Born in 1930, he lied about his age as a young man to enlist in the Marine Corps. He sold shoes, drove a truck to get by, while he worked on his dream of acting. He spoke of his father leaving the family when he was a child while he was outside playing. He remembered his father waving as he drove off. He would often say he was grateful to play a different kind of Hollywood leading man over the course of his 40-year career.
He changes, which always interests me in characters. We all have conflict. We all say we're one thing and really have to do another.
Tonight here, the tributes for Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy of 34 years, a businesswoman and former pianist. Legendary director Francis Ford Coppola posting this image of Hackman on the set of The Conversation, writing, "The loss of a great artist always cause for both mourning and celebration. Gene Hackman, a great actor, inspiring and magnificent in his work and complexity. I mourn his loss and celebrate his existence and contribution." Clint Eastwood tonight saying there was no finer actor than Gene, intense and instinctive, never a false note, adding he was also a dear friend whom I will miss very much. Viola Davis posting this picture saying, "Loved you in everything, tough yet vulnerable. You were one of the greats." And Tom Hanks tonight sharing this picture and writing, "There has never been a Gene Hackman type. There has only been Gene Hackman." Tonight, the actor, in his own words.
In life, sometimes you do get what you want. I'm sure there'll be people who will argue with that. Life tends to go in peculiar ways.
Gene Hackman's work remembered tonight, and later right here, what Gene Hackman once told our Diane Sawyer, what Hackman described as the closest thing to heaven. His interview with Diane coming up. But there is a lot of other news to get to tonight. The race to contain the spread of measles here in the U.S. Tonight, cases now confirmed from New Jersey to New Mexico after turning deadly in Texas. Here's Erielle Reshef.
Tonight, the urgent fight to curb the spread of measles, with cases reported from New Mexico to New Jersey, and the deadly outbreak in West Texas. Officials warning this is the tip of the iceberg and could last months. In New Jersey, a child who had traveled internationally was hospitalized in Bergen County. 2 close family members of the young patient were later infected, all 3 unvaccinated. The New Jersey Health Commissioner saying so far the virus appears to be contained.
The Department of Health is in contact with the cases and that we are doing safe contact tracing. We're out there trying to keep this contained.
But in West Texas, alarm growing after measles claimed the life of an unvaccinated child, the first death from the preventable disease here in the U.S. in a decade. 124 confirmed cases there, but tonight officials tell ABC News that number could be much higher. At least 20 pediatric patients admitted to the hospital since the start of the outbreak, all unvaccinated. Even more patients expected to test positive in the coming days.
Measles was basically eliminated in this country in 2000, but unfortunately, if we continue to see prolonged, sustained outbreaks, we may lose that status.
Measles is highly contagious, transmitted through droplets in the air or touching infected surfaces. The CDC saying 90% of those who are unvaccinated and come in contact with the disease will contract it. The virus is most contagious 4 days before the rash appears and 4 days after. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has promoted anti-vaccine views in the past, saying the outbreaks are not unusual.
It's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
David, doctors say that we do see outbreaks each year, but what's really concerning here is the rate at which these cases are climbing. David?
Erielle Reshef on this again tonight. Erielle, thank you. Tonight, the British Prime Minister visiting the White House with an invitation from King Charles for a second state visit for President Trump. The Prime Minister seeming to go out of his way to say this has never happened before, a second invitation from the King. The Prime Minister's effort to connect with President Trump. He then urged the president to support Ukraine. And President Trump was asked today, will he apologize to President Zelensky when he visits tomorrow after calling Zelensky a dictator, but repeatedly declining to call Putin one. Here's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer traveling to the White House to convince President Trump to support Ukraine. And to set the tone, he began with an invitation tailor-made for Trump.
This is a letter from His Majesty the King. It's an invitation for a second state visit. This is really special. This has never happened before. This is unprecedented. I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us.
The Prime Minister clearly trying to warm Trump up for the tough conversation to come. The two men discussing a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, differing greatly on whether to trust Vladimir Putin. Trump adamant Putin will keep his word.
No, I have confidence that if we make a deal, it's going to hold.
Today, for the first time, the president saying he will try to convince Russia to return some of the land they've taken from Ukraine.
We're going to certainly try and get as much as we can back.
At a press conference later, the British Prime Minister declared the UK will put boots on the ground and planes in the air to support a deal.
We've discussed a plan today to reach a peace that is tough and fair, that Ukraine will help shape, that's backed by strength, to stop Putin coming back for more.
Trump has faced questions about whether the U.S. will defend its European allies against Russian aggression. Today, he was asked point blank if he will stand by Article 5, which says an attack on one NATO country is an attack on all.
I support it. I don't think we're going to have any reason for it. I think we're going to have a very successful peace, and I think it's going to be a long-lasting peace.
It comes as the president prepares to meet tomorrow with Ukrainian President Zelensky, whom he called a dictator just days ago.
Will you take the opportunity to apologize to him for calling him a dictator while praising Vladimir Putin, who is a dictator?
I think we're going to have a very good meeting tomorrow, 11 o'clock, and I think we're going to have a very good meeting tomorrow morning. We're going to get along really well, okay? We have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for him.
And tomorrow, their high-stakes meeting here at the White House, the president and Zelensky will sign a deal to share Ukraine's mineral resources. But Zelensky is also looking for security guarantees from the president to prevent Russia from invading again. And so far, Trump hasn't been willing to give them. David.
All right, Mary Bruce at the White House. The president pointing it out. It's 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, his meeting with President Zelensky. Thanks, Mary. Tonight, the case making global headlines. 2 brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate, charged with human trafficking overseas. They've now arrived in Florida. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis saying they are not welcome in his state. The brothers, who are vocal Trump supporters, were asked if the president helped get their travel ban lifted and what the president said today about their return. Victor Akendo in Florida tonight.
Notorious influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate today touched down in a private plane in Fort Lauderdale, raising questions about how the brothers charged with human trafficking were free to fly to the U.S. from Romania after a ban on their travel was suddenly lifted. The brothers have denied the allegations against them, today casting themselves as victims.
We live in a democratic society where it's innocent until proven guilty, and I think my brother and I are largely misunderstood. There's a lot of opinions about us, a lot of things that go around about us on the internet. We've yet to be convicted of any crime in our lives ever.
Andrew Tate, a self-described misogynist with millions of followers, is accused, with his brother, of forming a criminal group, allegedly luring women to Romania and sexually exploiting them. Andrew was also charged with rape.
I will state right now that I am absolutely sexist and I'm absolutely a misogynist.
Police raided the home of the far-right influencers and arrested them in 2022. Andrew, a vocal supporter of President Trump, just weeks ago posting on X, "The Tates will be free. Trump is the president. The good old days are back." Today, the brothers ignored questions about whether the president paved the way for their travel.
Did Donald Trump help get the travel ban lifted?
The Tates are also facing criminal charges in the UK. And during that visit with the British Prime Minister today, the president said he knew nothing about it.
You're saying he's on a plane right now?
He's back. They already did.
Yeah, I just know nothing about it. We'll check it out. We'll let you know.
And Governor Ron DeSantis saying the Tates are not welcome here in Florida. For months, some Trump allies have been calling for an end to the prosecution of the brothers. David?
All right, Victor, thank you. When we come back tonight, another CEO targeted multiple shots into his home. Also, the discovery tonight just outside New York City, dozens of birds found dead amid these concerns of bird flu, where they were found. And look at this, the school bus up in flames. And tonight, the bus driver being called a hero, what that driver did. Tonight, after the murder of that healthcare CEO in New York City, police are now investigating another insurance CEO targeted outside Portland, Oregon. Authorities say a hooded suspect was seen on surveillance firing multiple times into the home of Safe CEO Chip Terhune. No one was hurt. The CEO says he had received a threatening email. Tonight, a school bus driver is being praised for saving children on a burning bus in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, heading to Monticello Middle School when it suddenly burst into flames. The driver getting all 15 students safely off that bus. When we come back tonight, the discovery just outside New York City amid these concerns over bird flu. And Diane Sawyer with Gene Hackman on the magic of acting and heaven. To the index just outside New York City tonight, dozens of dead birds found on a beach on Long Island, now being tested for bird flu. Roughly 40 birds, including ducks and geese, discovered in East Patchogue. The beach now closed to residents in the meantime. When we come back, Gene Hackman with Diane Sawyer, his childhood dream and those moments, the closest thing to heaven. Finally, Gene Hackman in his own words.
Gene Hackman said he always looked for characters who were conflicted.
If somebody changes somehow, or somebody has some kind of a conflict in their character that you have to see resolved as an audience, that always interested me because I think all of us have that.
He recognized he lived a life and a career he dreamed of.
It's all I ever wanted to do. So few people ever get what they really want in life. You give up a lot in terms of family, and one thing you're always in North Africa or Spain or someplace. But it's a make-believe world, and it's what I wanted to do as a child.
And this is what he told Diane Sawyer on the magic of acting, collaborating with another actor, the closest thing to heaven he could imagine.
I desperately wanted to be an actor from the time I was 10 years old, but I was so shy and so intimidated by the process.
What was the thing you wanted in acting?
I suppose to be transported to somehow or another to play these people who seem to have this great life.
What do you mean by anything?
What do you think I mean?
For me, I suppose the most enjoyable thing I do is when I can make a scene work, when I feel I've contributed to another actor, where it's electric, and where you have satisfied yourself that you have done everything you can to make that come alive. That, to me, is heaven, I suppose.
Gene Hackman, one of the greats. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.